Hello, everybody out there. My name is Richard Martindale with Martindale Digital. Thank you for joining me on this live stream broadcast today. And on today's broadcast, we're going to be discussing the question of, will the federal government fund my law firm marketing costs? So if you've been watching the news at all or listened to the radio, you'll know about the CARES Act that was passed a couple of weeks ago. Now, the CARES Act is passed by Congress. It's giving federal funding to small business. And on today's broadcast, we're going to discuss how that CARES Act might help you fund your law firm marketing. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you just a little bit about this crisis that's going on in our country with regard to the coronavirus. It's not only happening in the United States, it's kind of all over the world. So obviously it's impacting probably you personally in some way, or you know somebody who's being impacted by this. And when you're thinking about this, I know that there are bad things happening to people. People are dying. Businesses are being closed. Maybe your law firm has been impacted or you've lost your job. And so I'm trying to look for ways to help people through some of these live stream broadcasts to give you information that might help you if you're struggling with your firm or trying to find ways to get through this crisis. And I was listening to John Maxwell today, and he was talking about this crisis and fear. And one of the questions is, what are you doing in the face of this fear to get through the crisis? And John Maxwell said something that really hit home with me today. And he said, crisis moves people. People start taking action during a crisis. And it's moving you in one way or the other. It's either moving you forward and you're getting much more action and much more done, or sometimes a crisis will cause people to move backwards. So the question you want to ask yourself with regard to, how you're reacting to this crisis is, am I taking steps forward in my business and my law firm? Are we trying to progress? Are we taking this time to try to adapt and pivot and learn something new to help us in the future? Or are you just stepping back and shutting down and not doing anything? Well, I hope it's the former and you're taking steps to move forward. So today I wanted to try to talk to you about a way that this new CARES Act might help you in moving your law firm forward. So with regard to this CARES Act, I was on a CLE with the Texas Bar. I'm in Austin, Texas, and they were talking about the CARES Act. And obviously there have been a lot of topics about it, how to get funding, how to do things like that. And today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, I was thinking to myself, as I was listening to some of this on the CARES Act, I was thinking, okay, Richard, how can you use this information that you're getting to help other attorneys and law firms out there to potentially use the CARES Act to help them with their marketing and help get them going in the right direction? So what I want to talk to you about today is just give you a basic overview of my understanding of the CARES Act and how it can potentially help the law firm fund or help the federal government fund your law firm marketing. Now, obviously, just to talk a little bit about, the CARES Act, let me give you, the idea and clearly, is the disclaimers that I have to put out there that I'm providing this information to you for educational purposes only. I am not giving you legal advice. I am not a CPA. So if you think some of this information is helpful, you need to take it to your professionals, your CPA, your attorney, talk to them, consult with them about your personal circumstances, and see how this can potentially help you. So with that disclaimer in place, let's talk a little bit about the CARES Act. So one of the main big parts of the CARES Act that could help you, obviously, the CARES Act's not going to give you money directly to just put right into your marketing. But what the CARES Act potentially can do is give you money, such as through these PPP loans, which are the Payroll Protection Program loans. And what that could potentially do is give you money to pay your employees, pay your salary if you have a salary, and help you then free up other funds to do marketing. So think about it from that way. You got to be a little creative sometimes and think about how is this going to help me without directly funding my marketing, but offsetting costs that I otherwise would spend, and then I can use the new money to help me with marketing. So with that in mind, let's get into the kind of the PPP loan basics. If you've heard about the program, it's obviously meant to, as it sounds, protect the payroll for the small businesses. It's meant to keep your employees working, keep you as an employee of your business working, and keep your doors open so you're continuing to hopefully do business as normally as you possibly can under the circumstances, with everybody working from home and not being able to get out and about, but meant to keep people employed. And it is targeted at small businesses. So the small business under the act is up to 500 employees. Now you might say, wow, that's a huge law firm if you have 500 employees. True. But if you're even a solo practitioner, have a couple employees, maybe administrative assistant, somebody to help you, then you could potentially apply for a loan. Obviously, consult your professionals to see how you qualify. But if you're in a small business, that can help you. And you can get a loan. I think the maximum is $2 million, but it's up to 2.5 times your average monthly payroll. Now, there are worksheets out there. I'm going to give you a website that you can potentially go to. So if you'll go to this website here, it's a short link, martdig.com, martindeledigital.com/PPP. That's a link that'll take you right to the SBA website, so you can get all the information on the worksheets and how you can calculate the amount that you would qualify for. But basically, it's up to 2.5 times your average monthly payroll on average. There's some other costs as far as benefits and things that could be included, but think about it from that standpoint. Another good thing about it is there's no personal guarantees. You don't have to, sign on the dotted line, sign your life away in order to get these loans. And it's a pretty easy application process. I went through it myself, actually did this a few days ago, and was very surprised at how easy it was. Got some very basic information from my accountant on payroll and, salaries, paychecks, what's been paid, easily to deal with my local bank. Got my application in, and fortunately, I'll say that the government was very efficient and actually had the money in my account within 24 hours. So think about that. If you're debating whether or not to apply, it's very efficient. For me, it was very easy. Again, a disclaimer, my experience may not be the same as yours. I have heard horror stories of some backups and things like that. So talk to your lenders as well to see what their timing would be and how quickly they think they can get you approved, and then potentially the funds out to you. Now, the best thing about the PPP program is that it's a forgivable loan as long as you use the funds as designated, and you have to document how you've used those funds, but potentially how you use those funds in the next 8 weeks after you get them. You could have a forgivable loan, in effect, free money from the federal government that will help keep your doors open and hopefully keep your employees employed. The main uses of what it is for, obviously for payroll, to keep your employees, benefits, utilities, rent, and I believe mortgage interest can come under the PPP program. But again, consult your local professionals, make sure that what you're qualifying for and then what you're spending the money on, so you can document that and then submit your documentation after the kind of the official kind of forgiveness program or period. The forgiveness period, I think it's 8 weeks. So after that 8 weeks, then you fill out the forms and you submit it for loan forgiveness. So think about it from that standpoint. You could be getting free money to fund your payroll maybe for a couple months and keep your doors open. Use that other money that you would have free it up for marketing, make sure you're getting new clients in the door, keeping those doors open, and keep serving your clients well. Now, one of the other programs is the EIDL, which is the Economic Impact. The D is a disaster, I believe, loan program, but it's basically meant to cover, as it talks about, it's covering economic injury from this disaster or crisis. So basically, think about that it's going to be a little bit different where the PPP is protecting payroll. EIDL can potentially give you, funds to use for other purposes. So for the EIDL loans, you apply directly with the SBA for those loans, whereas the PPP program, you use SBA approved lenders. So I went to my bank that I do my business banking with. They gave me the application, gave me the process. We did DocuSign. It was very easy. Got it done in about a couple hours once I had all the documents together. It took me a little time to get the documents together. All total about 2 hours of time. So pretty easy process. EIDL is a little bit more involved as I understand it. I have not gone through the process, so I can't give you personal advice on how that went, but look into that. You may potentially qualify for EIDL. There is a $2 million maximum loan with 30 years, I believe, and the PPP program, I believe, is a maximum of $10 million in loans. So get it smaller on the EIDL, bigger on the PPP program, but the EIDL also could potentially give you a low interest loan if you need that. You do have to prove through this program that you're actually suffering the economic loss as a result of the crisis. So for example, if you had some clients who've now shut down and that they're in turn not giving you legal work because of the crisis, then obviously you want to document the hours you were working and then what you aren't working now. So think about that from the standpoint you have to document it with EIDL. With the PPP, you do have to prove that you use the funds for the restricted uses, but it should be fairly easy because if you're keeping your people employed, you're going to have payroll, you're going to keep paying them. The big contrast with EIDL is it is not a forgivable loan. It is a very low interest loan, but it is not a forgivable loan. So think about that. I looked at everything. I only applied for the PPP program because didn't want to deal with the EIDL, didn't think it really applied to what we were doing, and we were just trying to protect some payroll for a few months and make sure that we keep the doors open, keep serving our clients and our law firms that we help with consulting and marketing. So I did have a caveat here that you can potentially, if you apply for an EIDL, you can potentially convert that loan into a PPP program or into a PPP loan, but you'd want to look at it, talk to your professionals again to see if that would even apply. So that's one thing here. When we're comparing the two, no double dipping, meaning if you're applying for PPP, you get the money that's used for payroll. You can't also apply for EIDL on the other side, get that money and use it for say you're using it for payroll. You have to document it two different ways. You can't double dip and use them both for the same purpose. So think about that. Also in a comparison, as we talked about, you're keeping employees versus covering your economic injuries. So those are kind of the two big ways to think about these programs. You've also, as I said, you got more money available under the PPP, but EIDL also does give you a maximum of $2 million of a very low interest loan that you might need for your business and your law firm. So think about that if you're expanding or you were buying computers, things like that. EIDL might be something that you would want to look at, but you'd want to talk to your accountants and professionals, see what they say. Obviously, again, restricted use on the PPP, meant to keep employees, mortgage, interest, benefits, payroll, utilities, keeping the lights on, versus EIDL, it's less restricted, could use it for more things in your business. Finally, the big piece, forgivable versus not forgivable. So obviously, forgivable loan. It's not technically free money, but if you get it and you don't have to pay it back, then obviously it's something that you want to look at for a resource on how it could potentially offset other costs and then therefore help you free up money to use for your marketing. So that's something that you really want to think about. And from the standpoint of how you're doing your marketing, what you're using your cost for, evaluate everything and see, hey, is this something, this PPP, that might really help me? And make sure you go to the website that I've got here on the screen so that you can go really read through it. I mean, I spent a couple hours reading through it over the weekend. Really helped me, informed me, and I think it will help you and hopefully help you find some money to fund your law firm marketing so that you can find your clients, get more people in the door, and help keep your law firm open. Now, that's all I have for you today. I hope you understand from the standpoint of what John Maxwell said, keep moving forward despite this crisis. Don't, think that, hey, this crisis is affecting me. I really can't do anything. I've got to sit back and do nothing. That's not what you want to be doing. You want to be always moving forward, always thinking about how I'm going to progress, and think about how can I use these government programs that are easy to apply for to fund my marketing for my law firm. That'll help you keep moving forward, bring in more clients, and keep it going. So I hope that's helped you for today. Thanks for joining me on this live stream broadcast. If you're watching the recording, thanks for joining me as well. I'd really appreciate it if you like the information that I'm providing. Leave me a comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. If you're on LinkedIn, give me some feedback, or Facebook. Really love to hear from you. And also would love to hear what are the issues you're thinking about from your law firm, whether you're dealing in current crisis mode, what's happening, what do you need help with? I'm going to continue doing some of these live streams every day and every week to really put out a lot of information for you to help you not only during the crisis, but afterward to keep propelling you forward, as John Maxwell says. We're either moving backward or we're moving forward. So I hope you'll keep moving forward and you can use this information to fund your law firm marketing. Had a great time with you today. It's Richard Martindale with Martindale Digital, and I hope you have a blessed day.